Empty. She was staring at her eyelids. Sleep, yet alone dreamland, was nowhere in the vicinity. She was in the cold confines of her mind, trapped there at 2 a.m, with her alarm clock looming upon the edge of her consciousness. What took up that room, in her mind, was her phone. Not the physical dark cold oblong object, but its soft glow, the colours it illuminated, the world it projected upon her consciousness. That's what kept her awake. The idea someone, somewhere, may have sent a message, a picture, even a like. She stopped looking at her eyelids and peered across her bedside desk. It was there, though she could not see it. It was still too dark. That soft, warm reality, it was there. All she needed was to reach out and touch it. But no. She knew she was spending too much time there. She had to be up in 4 hours. Leave it, she told herself. If I do, it will be worth it. Then there'll be more messages in the morning anyway. With the need to sleep upon her mind, she decided to try and squeeze out a little wee, to prevent any prevention of nodding off. As her feet tip-tapped in the dark across the cold marble floor to her ensuite, her phone loomed larger in her mind. And as the sound of water breaking upon water clattered beneath her, she bit her nails and decided, one more look, then I'm done, ready for sleep. Beside her bed she stood in her underwear. The moonlight gently broke in through the high-rise glass window, revealing her naked breasts to the night. Then came the piercing bright light of her phone. It illuminated her face, and her pupils grew small as her eyes grew wide. A smile she didn't even know shone upon her face, and her eyes glanced past the apps of old. She was now consumed by one called SnapFun. She clicked upon the yellow icon and dove into her new reality, her new favourite place. 20 messages were waiting for her. Her smile grew larger, and she moved around her bed and got beneath the sheets. She was in her new happy place. She clicked upon the first message, opening it with a slight delight. Hey babe, it merely read. Her smile persisted. She had no idea who this was. There was no picture, no history, no idea, just a blank canvas. But of such potential. This blank canvas, someone in the world had seen her. And she even would admit, yeah, her photo had been provocative, but it was just her body, she reminded herself. Just a human body. Someone had seen it and wanted to message her. How nice. How kind. How's it going? She wrote back. Immediately, user 27819 was typing. I want to see your... It read. That sentence. She knew she wasn't supposed to like it. She knew the narrative and character, her as a woman from a good upbringing, was meant to play. She was meant to call him disgusting. She was supposed to be offended. But she wasn't. She didn't care. No. It was less than that. Deep down she knew she liked it. But she wouldn't admit that, not even to herself in the forefront of her mind. It laid low in the subconscious. She could see it there, the truth, but she didn't have to look at it directly. She smirked at it from a distance, and that smirk echoed in the physical world upon her lips as she began to type back. I bet you do, with a winky emoji. User 27819 is typing. How much to see your... You got up, wallet? Suddenly that smile on her face was a white beam across her face. She was going to go for it, push the boundaries a little, she told herself. 300, she wrote. Suddenly, there was no suddenly. The green icon next to user's 27819 name had vanished. He was offline. Perhaps that was a little too much. He'd been spooked. Her mind wandered. She looked out across the darkness of her room, towards the glass window which spanned the entire wall of her flat. From there, she could see the little lights of the opposite skyscraper from people's bedrooms and offices. Most were off, but the odd one was still lingering on at the distant hours of the night. For a rare moment, she put her phone on the bed, and its screen light went off. She shuffled her bum to the edge of the bed and looked out into the night, began to wonder about all the little lights, the lives behind them. Who were the people inside them? Perhaps they were the ones in love, still laid up beside each other, watching TV or listening to music, laid upon each other's bodies. The material and medium in front of them, just white noise, the only frequency they were tuned into, was each other. And all them dark windows was people behind them alone in bed, feeling the cold night, perhaps with someone only in the very next room, matching them, echoing them, cold, alone. The only comfort, the artificial light of a phone screen that looks like warmth but actually gives off no heat. It mimics it, leaving us still cold at night, cold in life, yearning for something real. She was night dreaming, but she wasn't asleep. Then came the glow of her screen illuminating her room, but providing no warmth. She had a message. She reached back for her phone. User 27819 had messaged back. "What's your app wallet's user?" She pasted it in. User 27819 typed, "Sent." Then came the notification at the top of her screen. 300 had been deposited into her account. At that moment, she put her phone back down. "What the fuck?" she whispered, bowing her head between her legs, putting her face in her hands. Almost immediately, it dawned on her. That 300 was slightly more money than she would earn for a whole day's work tomorrow. She peered out the window to the skyscraper opposite and saw a figure in one of the windows. A man was on his phone. She meditated on the idea of these little contraptions in our hands. Are they actually reality now? Again, that soft glow illuminated up beside her. She knew it would be user 27819. This person, a concept, no accountability, no face she could put to it, had sent her $300. She took her phone, opened it, and stood at the window. The glow illuminated her body. She looked at the screen. User 27819. "Can you send it now?" She looked out the window. The man on the phone, perhaps a few stories down in the opposite building, was now looking up at her, staring. The compulsion to cover up had been eviscerated. She smiled, waved, then winked. His hand came up, and she could see his smile. She took herself to the toilet and began to film her naked body in the large bathroom mirror that covered the entirety of the wall. She was putting herself on show. Her hand slipped into her underwear, then into her mouth, and she winked, then began to slip off the underwear. She widened her step, and then put her hand between her legs again, and finished the video by blowing a kiss into the mirror. Then she pressed send to user 27819. She put her phone beside the sink and began to examine her body under the artificial yellow light. Sure, it was just a body, skin, bones, a few organs, limbs. But she knew it was aesthetically pleasing. She was white, but her skin was bronzed all year round, naturally. Her hair was thick, her waist tiny, her breasts huge. She felt weird admitting that to herself. Somehow it felt vain. But it was the reality. It is what had essentially earned her $300 for a minute's work. Her phone screen lit up again. She reached out and read the message. From user 27819. "Holy fuck. You're perfect. Show me more of that beautiful. Put something inside it." Tongue out emoji. "Fuck it," she said, beginning to type. "Another 300? Question mark, winky face." All of a sudden, after a monkey covering its eyes emoji, came a notification. 300 been deposited into her account. She spent the next 3 hours in that toilet, and after 33 messages and 11 videos, she was $1,585 richer. As she walked out, an orange hum lit up the bedroom. The rising sun lit up the room. She didn't feel that tired. She walked over to the kitchen top and pressed the green button upon her coffee machine. As the aroma filled the room, she walked over to her wardrobe and looked at the black suit inside, her work clothes. She then looked down at her naked body. She knew which uniform she preferred. She opened up that window into that fake reality and dialed work. The young girl on reception, whose name she kept forgetting, answered. "Hey, it's Rebecca. I won't be coming in today. Something's come up. Thanks, lovely," she said without even hearing the response. Her feet pattered against the marble floor. Her coffee was ready. And as her hand touched the warm mug, something was wrong. Something rolled down her cheek. It was a tear. Then she noticed that buzz that had been in her stomach and faint smile on her face had vanished. She was left only with something burning deep, and her hands began to shake. She left the coffee mug on the worktop and walked hurriedly towards the glass window. She wanted to see that man of the night, the one who had waved to her in the early hours of the morning, but he wasn't there. All she was left with was the bright, almost blinding white sky. A hand touched the glass in front of her. It felt hard, cold on her fingertips, as she noticed movement in the windows from the flats and homes of people beginning their days. She then focused on a child at a window above her. A little girl was pointing down at her. Then her mother came into the window. She noticed the little girl began to laugh as the mother pulled her away, and a frown of disappointment became upon the woman's face as they both moved away. Suddenly she noticed her nakedness and covered herself up. She stepped back away from the window, and it came. Tears. Suddenly she was crying. She walked back and sat upon her bed. Her body shuddered, and she climbed under the sheets. These tears had come from seemingly nowhere. The bed now felt huge, and she held herself beneath the sheets. She felt nothing but empty.